In Banjo Kazooie, you can transform into a lot of things. You can transform into a termite, a crocodile, a walrus, a pumpkin. But did you know you can also turn into and play the game as a washing machine? And no, I'm not talking about the time where Mumbo accidentally uses the wrong spell. And no, I'm not getting confused with Banjo Tooie. Banjo Kazooie has been out for over 20 years, and only recently did I learn you can actually play the game as a washing machine. And surprisingly, there's not much game footage out there of this. So naturally, I wanted to know, how much of Banjo Kazooie could you beat as a washing machine? Before we continue with the video, I wanted to announce that Press A is now on Patreon. There we have 3 A button mashing tiers. The SNES A button tier that gets you a shout out at the end of our videos. The N64 A button tier that gets you a shout out, access to bi-weekly exclusive videos and live stream VODs, and the ability to vote on what video or challenge we do next. And the GameCube A button tier that gets you the same perks but is there if you want to support even more. We are so appreciative of you simply just watching our videos, but if you feel like supporting more, the link to our Patreon is below and can be found in our channel's bio and in the description of this video. Now, on with the video. To become a washing machine, we first need to collect the Sandcastle Jiggy in Treasure Trove Cove. And to do that, we need to collect this Jiggy to unlock Mumbo's Mountain, 2 Jiggies in Mumbo Mountain to unlock Treasure Trove Cove, 50 notes to unlock the 50 note door, and must learn all the moves in Mumbo's Mountain, as we need the Talon Trot to get up to the 50 note door, eggs to drain the water around the sandcastle, and Beakbuster to input the code we will soon get from bottles to turn into a washing machine, as well as to get the Sandcastle Jiggy. Once the Sandcastle Jiggy is collected, we can go back to Banjo's house and look up at the picture of Bottles, which will trigger Bottles' bonus challenges, a series of moving picture minigames where we must move 20 scattered jigsaw pieces in their original positions. These minigames can be a challenge in themselves. From round 3 on, some pieces will rotate themselves as they scatter, and must be rotated back into position. And each round gets progressively harder, with shorter time limits, less contrast within the image, and more pieces which need to be rotated. It took me a good 20 minutes just to beat the final challenge. I even needed a diagram to help me beat it. After each round, Bottle rewards us with a code that can be entered into the sandcastle floor. Codes that can make Banjo's head, hands, and feet large, or Kazooie's head and wings large. But for this video, the code we are interested in is this code rewarded after beating Bottle's 7th and final challenge, Wishy Washy Banjo. Yeah, don't let Bottles fool you. He will say the 6th round is the final challenge, but there's a secret 7th round. With the Wishy Washy Banjo code, we can finally turn into the washing machine we were born to be. And don't think you can just enter this code from the get-go. The code only works once you beat the Bottles bonus challenges, and if you save and quit, you will need to beat the bonus challenge again to activate the codes. With that, let's go back to the beginning. Now that we're back home, let's see where our washing machine would fit in Banjo's house. There's not really much space, or I can go right here, in front of this, in front of these shelves. I mean, it makes sense. Treasure Trove Cove, that's where I was birthed. That's where I was manufactured. Alright, peace out, bitches. I'm off to show why I'm the only appliance that should have warranty. The first thing I wanted to do was test how well this washing machine operates by collecting the 6 empty honeycombs around Spiral Mountain, and I was able to collect all 6. It's really just playing as Banjo and Kazooie, but with a washing machine skin. We can attack, backflip, climb despite not having hands, swim, and flutter. But there are some limitations playing as a washing machine, which I will discuss as we progress through the worlds. The first Jiggy in the game is here in Grunty's lair, which we had to collect as Banjo. But since we're easily able to get up here, I'm going to count this Jiggy as one that can be collected as a washing machine. In Mumbo's Mountain, we're able to collect almost every Jiggy, and it's here we learn that collecting Jiggies as a washing machine skips the Jiggy animation, a speedrunner stream. It's in Mumbo's Mountain we also face our first limitation playing as a washing machine. We're able to collect the orange on Conga's tree, but when it comes to giving the orange to Chimpy, we're unable to do it. It's something that would happen automatically playing as Banjo, but nothing happens as a washing machine. So that's one Jiggy we can't collect, which is unfortunate because we need to give Chimpy an orange to get the tree stump to rise and gain access to the sledge, where we would shoot eggs at Conga to get another Jiggy, and hit the witch switch to get the Jiggy on the entrance of Mumbo's Mountain. I did try backflipping and clipping onto the ledge without the tree stomp raised, both as Banjo and Washer Banjo, but I was unsuccessful. I didn't mention this earlier, but in this challenge, we're also not transforming into anything else besides the washing machine. So we're also unable to get the Jiggy on top of Ticker's tower, which typically involves transforming into a termite. You can actually get to the top of the tower without transforming into a termite, but as far as I'm aware, it's not possible on the Xbox 360 version. I'd be curious to see if it's even possible to do as a washing machine in other versions of the game. In total, we were able to collect 7 Jiggies in Mumbo's Mountain, bringing the total Jiggies collected to 8. We were also able to collect 90 notes. I mention notes because these are just as important as Jiggies to progress through the game. On to Treasure Trove Cove, and here's another Did You Know moment. Did you know you can kill Snacker the shark by shooting eggs out of your ass?
Whoa. I had no idea you could even kill the shark.
It's crazy, I'm continually learning about this game 20 years later. Snacker does respawn though, so don't get too comfortable swimming. Like the orange on Conga's tree, we're able to grab Blubber's treasure, but we're not able to give him the treasure. So that's a Jiggy we can't collect. But fuck Blubber, I just want to know if we can fly. Moment of truth. Oh my god, we're doing it. We're actually flying. The first flying washing machine. The other appliances back home won't believe this. Because we're able to fly, that means we can grab a few Jiggies that we otherwise wouldn't be able to collect, like the Jiggy on top of the lighthouse, the Jiggy in this chest, and the Jiggy from hitting the red X's, and the Jiggy from collecting all the Jinjos, as the yellow Jinjo is up on this tree. There's also the witch switch up here. Yes, it is possible to get to this area without flying, but let's be real, I don't have that skill set, especially as a washing machine. And despite not having legs, we can also use the shock jump pad to reach the Jiggy in this cave, which can also be collected from flying, but there's something about watching a washing machine spring up into the air that I enjoy. Leaving Treasure Trove Cove, we collected 9 Jiggies, plus the Jiggy on the ship from hitting the witch switch, bringing the total Jiggies collected to 18. And we collected all 100 notes. Next is Clanker's cavern, where we come face to face with the biggest appliance I've ever seen.
'Cause I'm all that you want, boy.
Clanker, Grunty's personal garburator, and I was more than happy to help him get some fresh air. Fucking hate this. Come on, Bubble. Fuck, where is this guy? I'm gonna drown. Washing machines aren't supposed to drown. Okay. I feel like Clanker's cavern gets a lot of hate. Sure, it lacks a colorful environment, and releasing Clanker can be quite the daunting task, but I personally love this world. Especially for this challenge, as we're finally able to collect all 10 Jiggies in a world, as well as the Jiggy from the world's witch switch, and all 100 notes. There's nothing really noteworthy that happens in this world, so let's move on to Bubblegloop Swamp. Bubblegloop Swamp features the wading boots, the latest boots in designer fashion, and unfortunately, as a washing machine, we're not able to wear them. But this is how I imagine we'd look wearing the boots. However, we don't need the boots, since as a washing machine, we can easily wade through the swamp water without taking any damage from the piranhas, making this world a lot easier. Bubblegloop Swamp also has Mumbo in it, meaning this is a world where we can transform, and there's usually at least one Jiggy that requires transforming to collect. In this case, it's the Jiggy you get from beating Mr. Vile in a plant snacking minigame. Since we can't transform, we can't collect this Jiggy, which I don't mind cause fuck Mr. Vile. I honestly thought that would be the only Jiggy I wouldn't be able to collect as a washing machine, but I was so wrong. Think you have an idea of which ones we couldn't collect? Let's go through the ones I did collect first. We're able to collect the Jiggies you get from hitting the Jiggy switches and collecting within 45 seconds and 10 seconds, the Jiggy from shooting eggs into the mouths of the golden croctus, the Jiggy from destroying all the huts, the Jiggy from ground pounding all 4 of Tank Tub the turtle's feet, and the Jiggy from defeating all these frogs.
Ugly and hairy. There ain't no hair on this.
This is where I noticed how truly reduced Washer Banjo's attack range is, which is another limitation as playing as a washing machine. In retrospect, I'm not sure why I didn't just use the Wonder Wing attack to defeat them. Besides Mr. Vile's minigame, we can't collect the Jiggy from Tip Tup's memorization minigame, which surprised me. Tip Tup acknowledges me and even follows me as I walk around, but we're unable to engage in a conversation and trigger the minigame. All he does is just shrug. I just assumed I couldn't trigger conversations for characters where we need to give them items, like Chimpy and Blubber, but I guess this limitation applies to a lot more characters than I thought. It's only when I ground pound on a student's head do I finally get recognition. We also can't collect the Jiggy from collecting all the Jinjos, as we are unable to collect the purple Jinjo here. Typically, you would collect this Jinjo as a crocodile, but I swear, I thought you could collect this Jinjo by ground pounding on the ledge above it. I can't remember where I saw this, but I feel like this is a thing. I tried doing this as both Washer Banjo and Banjo with no success. Maybe it's only possible in the 64 version of the game, or it's possible I'm just crazy, but can someone please let me know if this is possible? And then the one Jiggy I thought for sure we'd be able to collect that we can't was the one from destroying this large egg. All we have to do to collect this Jiggy is either ground pound or use Kazooie's beak to break the X and shatter the layers of the egg. But when it came to destroying this X, the beak barge or rat-a-tap-rap doesn't work. I'm thinking this has something to do with Washer Banjo's reduced attack range, but it still feels weird that we would be unable to do this. That means leaving Bubblegloop Swamp, we were only able to collect 6 Jiggies, plus the Jiggy from hitting the Witch Switch, which takes the total up to 36 Jiggies collected, and we collected 89 notes. But it was about to get worse. Welcome to Freezeezy Peak, a world that does not favor the washing machine. In total, we are only able to collect 4 Jiggies in this world. We are able to collect the Jiggy in the Giant Snowman's pipe, the Jiggy on the Giant Snowman's hat after beak bombing the snowman enemies, the Jiggy beneath the Giant Snowman from beak bombing its buttons, and the Jiggy within the Christmas tree, which involves a lot of effort for just one Jiggy. Saving Twinklies, hitting a switch to turn on the Christmas tree lights, flying through the star on top of the tree 3 times within 60 seconds, and then climbing our ass to the top inside the tree. Just way too much. Unfortunately, we can't collect the Jiggy from giving Boggy's children their Christmas gifts, since they just ignore us like 90% of the people in this game when it comes to giving them stuff. But at least they acknowledge us when we first meet them.
Oh, they say something.
We also can't collect the Jiggy from Boggy's stomach, as jumping on the sleigh as a washing machine will not trigger the sliding down the scarf scene. And if we can't slide down the sleigh onto Boggy, then in turn that means we can't get the 2 Jiggies collected from Racing Boggy, which we wouldn't be able to do anyways, as the one race involves transforming into the walrus, and the other involves the turbo trainers, which, like the wading boots, we can't use.
What? A bear? Where? No, come back.
We also can't collect the Jiggy from Waza, as that also requires transforming into the walrus. And if we're not the walrus, Waza will block the entrance to his cave, which unfortunately is where the orange Jinjo is, so that's yet another Jiggy we can't collect. There is a glitch called Frozen Waza where if you beak bomb past the "Phew, the bear and bird are gone" text that Waza says, and then exit and reload the area using either the igloo or Christmas tree, then the next time you fly towards Waza, he acts like he's blocking his cave, even though he's frozen in his starting position. So I thought this could be used to gain access into Waza's cave as the washing machine and then collect the last Jinjo, but unfortunately with this glitch, there is an invisible barrier preventing us from entering the cave, so this glitch is useless. Still pretty cool though. We were able to hit the Witch Switch, but collecting this Jiggy would involve using the Turbo Trainers, so that's another Jiggy we can't collect. With the 4 Jiggies collected in Freezeezy Peak, that brings the total up to 40 Jiggies collected. At least we were able to collect all 100 notes. Next was Gobi's Valley, and I'm happy to say we were much more successful in this world than we were in Bubblegloop Swamp and Freezeezy Peak. There is no Mumbo here, and thus no transformations, so that part is good. But Gobi's Valley introduces us to the Turbo Trainers, and there are 2 Jiggies that typically require the use of these fast shoes to collect, which again, as a washing machine, we can't use. So we have to get creative. To collect the Jiggy from Grabba, the game's intent is for us to use the Turbo Trainers to run up to Grabba and snag the Jiggy. Otherwise, without the shoes, once we get close to Grabba, he will sink back into the ground with the Jiggy. So instead of approaching on land, we're going to approach in the air. I thought if approaching Grabba by flying that they wouldn't be triggered to go back into the sand once close, but they were still going back into the sand. I then tried beak bombing into the Jiggy, but would always hit Grabba and take damage. It's definitely a lot harder to aim as a washing machine. After multiple failed attempts, I decided I would instead fly above Grabba, which luckily didn't trigger him to go back into the sand, and then attempt to ground pound onto the Jiggy.
Oh, I was so close.
It took a few tries, but we eventually did it.
We did it. That's pretty crazy.
Then there's the Jiggy inside the water-filled pyramid, which involves hitting the switch at the base of the pyramid to open up a hole at the top, and using the Turbo Trainers to run up to the top and into the hole within 25 seconds. There's just no way of running up to the top within 25 seconds without the Turbo Trainers, so instead, I dropped down into this empty area which has a flight pad, with the goal of flying to the top of the pyramid. This was tricky to do. For one, it involved using a lot of feathers, and I always found myself low on feathers for some reason, so for each unsuccessful attempt, I would have to go around collecting more feathers. I thought using the beak bomb would be the logical strategy to get to the pyramid faster, but I usually just flew right past the pyramid hole, and timing went to ground pound often led to death. So I decided not to use the beak bomb, and after several tries, we were finally able to get into the pyramid with 3 seconds to spare.
Whoa.
I cannot believe I actually did that. The 2 Jiggies in Gobi's Valley I thought we wouldn't be able to collect, we were able to do. And we had collected all 10 Jiggies, as well as the world's Witch Switch Jiggy, an accomplishment we hadn't achieved since Clanker's Cavern. And we also collected all 100 notes. That brings the total up to 51 Jiggies collected. On to Mad Monster Mansion, where nothing too noteworthy happens besides facing the same limitations we faced in earlier worlds. We can't get the Jiggy in the church, as getting into the church requires the use of the turbo trainers, and I just couldn't find another way in without using them. And unfortunately the Witch Switch is in the church, so that's another Jiggy we can't collect. Like the sleigh in Freezeezy Peak, we can't activate the glass in the shed as a washing machine to play the Ouija board minigame, and I can't get the 2 Jiggies that involve transforming into a pumpkin and entering a pipe and being flushed down a toilet drain. No, I think I'm just a little too big for this toilet bowl. We were able to collect the other 6 Jiggies though, bringing the total Jiggies collected up to 57, and we collected 81 notes. And now, it was here I had to break my own rule of not transforming into anything else besides a washing machine. To get to Rusty Bucket Bay, we need to raise the water level, and the only way to do that is to hit the switch inside this crypt. But the only way into the crypt is through this hole, which is way too small for Banjo, let alone a washing machine. So the only way to proceed in the game is to transform into a pumpkin. It is cool to see though that when Mumbo transforms us back, we go back into a washing machine and not just Banjo. With the water level raised, we can open and enter Rusty Bucket Bay. And let me just say, I think I love this world now. I've always hated this world as a child, mainly due to the engine room Jiggy and propeller Jiggy, but by utilizing a glitch, the propeller Jiggy becomes so much easier to collect. There's the one glitch that allows us to collect the propeller Jiggy without needing to go into the engine room that I think is pretty well known at this point. It involves using the Talon Trot and clipping through the staircase and into the water under the rusty bucket, but I struggled with pulling this glitch off. Plus, by using this glitch, the propellers are still running, and it's an instant death if you touch them. Instead, I pulled off an easier glitch to collect this Jiggy. If we start the propeller timer in the engine room and run up to the window here, we can clip through on the right side where the window and wall meet. Apparently, we're supposed to barge attack to clip through, but that wasn't working for me, and I eventually was just able to jump through it. Oh my god. It took me about 30 seconds to pull it off, but that still left me with a lot of time since the pipe that leads into this room is at the stern of the ship right by the propellers, so it didn't take me long to jump down and collect the Jiggy. Another cool glitch is the boss boombox quick kill glitch. That's a tongue twister. By shooting 3 eggs forward, boombox takes damage and they will start hopping around, but the Jiggy will remain floating in the middle of the room when it should be trapped in boombox. So the Jiggy can now be collected without having to kill boombox, though I probably should have still killed them since I couldn't even climb the ladder out without being killed. Leaving Rusty Bucket Bay, we had collected 91 notes, though we probably could have collected all 100 notes if I was willing to risk my life more than needed in the engine room, and collected all 10 Jiggies, including the Jiggy from the Witch Switch, bringing the total Jiggies collected up to 68. And it's a good thing we did this because this gave us just enough Jiggies to complete the Click Clock Wood puzzle. Now to be fair, we only had exactly enough Jiggies to complete this puzzle because we did collect the Jiggy we get from giving Chimpy and Orange as Banjo, which I'm not including in the total Jiggies collected as Washer Banjo. I really wanted to complete the Click Clock Wood puzzle with only Jiggies collected as the washing machine, and so I went back to that damn egg in Bubblegloop Swamp to see if I could somehow break it, but I just couldn't do it. It pains me that I'm one Washer Banjo Jiggy short, but alas, we complete the puzzle and make our way to Click Clock Wood. And as you can probably guess, Click Clock Wood was not the strongest performance for this washing machine. Since we can't turn to the bee, we can't get the Jiggy inside the snare bear at the top of the tree in the spring, or the Jiggy from collecting the Jinjos, as the purple Jinjo is in the beehive in the spring, and we can only get into the beehive in the spring as a bee. We can't get the Jiggy in the beehive since jumping onto the honeycomb shielding the Jiggy as a washing machine doesn't trigger the attacking bees to come out, and then we can't collect the Jiggies from the squirrel Nabnut or eagle Irie as they require being given acorns and caterpillars respectively. And like the orange and the treasure and the Christmas gifts, we can collect the acorns and caterpillars, but we can't give them out. The Jiggy from the Witch Switch is just also out of the question. Leaving Click Clock Wood, we had collected 5 Jiggies, bringing the total Jiggies collected up to 73. And with all the world done, it was time to make our way to Grunty's Furnace Fun. To get there, we must step onto this warp pad showing Tootie's face on it, which will warp us to a fiery cavern and trigger the game show minigame hosted by Gruntilda. But when we warp there, we are automatically turned back into Banjo and Kazooie. It appears that by warping, we break the Washer Banjo spell. And there's no way to get around this. There is the yellow cauldron behind the warp pad here, and we are able to warp between cauldrons and remain a washing machine. But the yellow cauldron connects to the one in the final area of Gruntilda's lair, so that doesn't help us. I do find it funny that the game show second place prize is a washing machine. So maybe that's why we're unable to continue as Washer Banjo? I guess there's only room for one washing machine in this game. At least I'm the better looking one. Unfortunately, this appears to be the end of our wet washing adventure. But even if we could continue through Grunchy's Furnace Fun as a washing machine, we would need 25 Jiggies to complete Gruntilda's picture to get to the fight against her, which we definitely don't have. Still, it would have been pretty cool to fight Gruntilda as a washing machine. But hey, we still beat a lot of Banjo Kazooie as a washing machine and managed to collect 73 Jiggies. 7 Jiggies in Mumbo's Mountain, 9 Jiggies in Treasure Trove Cove, 10 Jiggies in Clanker's Cavern, 6 Jiggies in Bubblegloop Swamp, 4 Jiggies in Freezeezy Peak, 10 Jiggies in Gobi's Valley, 6 Jiggies in Mad Monster Mansion, 10 Jiggies in Rusty Bucket Bay, 5 Jiggies in Click Clock Wood, and 6 Jiggies in Gruntilda's Lair. That's 73 Jiggies out of 100. That means as a washing machine, you can beat 73% of Banjo Kazooie. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I sure had a lot of fun playing one of my favorite games from my childhood as a washing machine. If you did enjoy the video, I'd appreciate it if you could give the video a like. It would really help us out. And make sure to check out one of these other challenge videos.